everyone, and welcome to our second Alamo Together Remote Summit. I'm Christy Wyatt. I'm Associate Vice Chancellor for Communication and Engagement for the Alamo Colleges District, and I want to thank each and every one of you for taking the time to join us today. Now, we have a long agenda and we have a lot of information to share with you, so I want to give you a breakdown of what we're going to be talking about today. First, we're going to have a greeting from our Board of Trustees. Then we'll hear a student perspective on how we provided resources and how faculty and staff have come together to ensure our students have everything they need to be remote ready and to weather this COVID-19 pandemic. Then we'll have more information from our student perspective and go over all of the programs and initiatives we have in place, like our Keep Learning Plan and the Student Impact Fund that will help our students as they continue on their journey. Then we will have a little bit of information for our employees about the programs that we have in place to assist employees who are facing challenges related to COVID-19. And then finally, we'll have a Q&A with our Chancellor. He'll join us once again to answer all of the questions that we have time to answer today. And then all the rest of the questions will be addressed on our website like we did last time with the posting. So if you have a question that you haven't already submitted, please be sure to use the chat feature to submit your question, and we'll be sure to either answer it here live today or we'll answer it on our website. Now, let's get started.
Good morning. I'm Vice Chairman Joe Alderete of the Alamo Community College Board of Trustees. Along with our Chairman Marcelo Casillas, our Secretary Ana Bustamante, our Assistant Secretary Joe Jesse Sanchez, Yvonne Katz, Clint Kingsbury, Jean Sprague, Roberto Zarate, and Jose Macias, I want to welcome you to our Alamo College's Remote Summit. This has been a very exciting spring semester, unlike any other spring semester we have ever had. But I want you to be careful, not only for yourselves, which are our team members, but for our students. Everything seems to be opening up, and that is time for caution. We need you here for the summer. We need you here for the fall. You are vital in the development of our students here in Bexar County and our Alamo College area. Please take care of yourselves, please take care of our students, and we look forward to working with you. By the way, take notes, because everything you learn this semester will be asked by some of the board members so that we can be prepared for the future. Thank you for all you do for our students.
Good morning. My name is Dale Sampson, and I'm a student at Palo Alto College and the alternate student trustee. It is my pleasure this morning to share with you how much I and my fellow students, including those at all 5 colleges in the Alamo Colleges District, appreciate everything that is being done to help us get through this spring semester and get through this going forward. Whether we're coming back in Maymester, or summer classes, or coming back in the fall. The faculty and staff have really been there for us, doing everything that they can to make sure that we have a successful spring semester, which many students have never done. Our board and leadership have also stepped up to support us. We know we can count on the same level of personal care and support throughout the summer and into the fall. The Student Emergency Aid Program and the Keep Learning Program, which Dr. Garza will talk to you about next, shows us that Alamo Colleges cares not just about our academic excellence, but any other hardships that we may face going through this time to make sure that we stay in college and support our families, ourselves. On behalf of myself and all of the students here in the Alamo Colleges District, thank you, and stay safe.
To support our students through the COVID-19 pandemic, the Alamo Colleges District has established the Student Emergency Aid Program. This multifaceted initiative includes financial help from the Federal CARES Act Emergency Aid, the Alamo Colleges Foundation COVID-19 Student Impact Fund, and resources provided by the college's Advocacy Center to provide emergency aid for students who need temporary assistance. Grants under the CARES Act are based on the students' expenses related to the disruption of campus operations due to the coronavirus. And the funding is not tied to existing financial aid programs such as Pell Grants. All funds are distributed directly to students as quickly as possible. The CARES Act emergency aid can help students through access of technology to support remote learning, buy groceries, pay rent or utilities, pay healthcare or childcare expenses. For more information on the CARES Act eligibility, how to apply, or frequently asked questions can be found at alamo.edu/student emergency aid. We also have the Student Impact Fund and advocacy centers that can provide assistance for those students that do not qualify for the CARES Act. To apply for this assistance, students should call the Student Advocacy Center at the Alamo College's helpline 210-486-1111. Our helpline hours are listed on the alamo.edu/student emergency aid webpage. In addition to the emergency aid, the Alamo Colleges offers a Keep Learning Plan to help our students save money and stay in college, and the plan includes the Clean Slate program, which eliminates a student's outstanding balance up to $500 from the fall 2019 and spring 2020 semesters. The expanded Summer Momentum Plan is also a supercharged version of our existing Summer Momentum Plan. This expanded version offers students with a GPA of a 2.0 and as of May 1st who are enrolled in the spring 2020 semester are eligible for free academic credit hours for this upcoming summer 2020. A $1 payment plan. For fall 2020, to set up a tuition payment plan, it's now been reduced from the $25 original setup fee to just $1. And finally, the no-cost testing. The Texas Success Initiative TSI test, which usually costs $32, is being offered at no cost between May 1st and June 20, 2020. For more information on the Keep Learning Plan, please go to our www.alamo.edu/keep learning. I know these programs are helping our students, and I'm so proud that our leadership and our board have acted so quickly to help students through this difficult situation, and truly to continue to place our students first. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for inviting me to speak with you this morning. I'm Yvonne Benton, and I serve as Chair of Executive Staff Senate. I join my colleague Carla Kosup, President of the United Faculty Senate, and Catherine Mayer, Chair, President of the Council of Chairs, in sponsoring and assisting with administering the Employee Emergency Relief Fund. I want to thank the board and leadership for providing the Employee Aid Fund to help employees weather this crisis. You truly make us feel as though we are a part of the Alamo Colleges family. Check your inbox and the Employee COVID webpage in the coming days for more information on our Employee Emergency Relief Fund. Truly families helping families.
Good morning. So happy to be with you all this morning and share with you some exciting news about benefit enhancements that the college district has approved for us to aid us as we go about balancing our life and work here during this period of coronavirus. The first benefit I want to share with you, in case you haven't heard about it yet, is support for extra vacation carryover this year. We know that some people will not be able to complete their vacation plans. If you were planning to travel out of the city or take an extended trip, that might not happen. And so employees have asked if we would consider allowing them to bank and retain some of that vacation at a higher rate than usual. And so that's been approved. Normally, we can roll over 2 years worth of vacation accrual at the end of the fiscal year, at the end of August. This year, we will be able to carry forward 2.5 times our annual accrual. So that gives everybody an extra few days that they can carry forward into the next fiscal year and perhaps spend that time when the situation is a little more favorable to vacationing. The second benefit is also about vacation benefits, and don't want you to confuse it with the first benefit, which is rolling vacation time forward so you can use it later. The second benefit is vacation sellback. And that means we can actually go ahead and sell back to the college district up to 2 weeks of accrued vacation time. This was put in place at the request of employees also to help them with some financial burdens that they foresaw coming in the future because of the circumstances in the country right now. We believe that this is a great assistance for employees. We will be able to sell back up to 2 weeks of our vacation accrual. As long as we leave at least 40 hours in our bank. We will have the sellback starting on May 14th. The sellback window will run through May 19th. So that's important. It's a pretty short window. But we wanted to do that so then we can make the payouts to employees on May 27th so that we have the money in your hands as quickly as possible if you are experiencing financial difficulties right now. The next benefit that we've been able to establish for employees is really in compliance with federal legislation. That's the Families First Coronavirus Relief Act, and that allows us to grant employees up to 2 weeks of sick time, additional paid sick time, if you are sick or you are quarantined under a doctor's order due to coronavirus. This act also allows us to grant FMLA, Family Medical Leave Act, leave to employees if they have to stay home to care for a child because their daycare or the school is closed due to the coronavirus, and that would also be paid time. So that's a very big, very important benefit. And we do have training sessions still ongoing for that benefit. If you would like to be oriented, there are sessions coming up early next week. The next benefit is support for summer. We did a survey in collaboration with the Executive Staff Senate to determine how employees felt about the 4-day work week this summer. Overwhelmingly, employees wanted to go to the 4-day work week, and so we will. But we will do that with a caveat that supervisors be especially flexible and accommodating this year for any employee that might really need to only work 8 hours a day. We understand that for some folks that's hard because they have other home responsibilities this year, or the 10-hour day would just be too demanding. So in those instances, we're asking supervisors to work with their employees to either do a 5-day week or allow the employee to take vacation on some of those days and turn a 10-hour day into an 8-hour day. We think we can make it work for everyone. The next benefit is important because it's about food, and it's about the employees who are still working on site that we appreciate so very much. Our IT teams, our DPS teams, And our facilities teams at each location will be the beneficiaries of free lunch every day. If they have to be working on site, if you have to be working on site for the day, we want to provide lunch to you and save you a trip out into the world to get lunch, and also just appreciate you and buy you lunch every day. The next benefit, I think, is so fun, and you may have already participated in it. It's called Alamo Accolades, and this is an opportunity for you to recognize co-workers, colleagues around the college district, submit their names and a little description of what they've done that's been so very appreciated. And we will be happy to publish it and share it with you and share it with your chain of command, so that everyone can appreciate how we are really helping each other in what are really challenging times. And finally, we've just made a lot of effort to continually enhance the support for employee communication and connection. And I hear from you every day that that's super important. And so we've committed to having this sort of summit monthly, so we can hear from leadership and hear about everything that's going on at all the colleges and at the district. So we're doing that, and we're also ensuring that the coronavirus update for employees is out on a very regular basis, carrying all this kind of good news to you, so you'll be well informed and can find the references if you need to go back in time and look at that again. So we thank you for everything you're doing. We hope that these benefits do in some way convey how much we appreciate you and are grateful that you're on our team. So thank you so very much.
Thank you so much to Linda and to Dale and Dr. Garcia and all the individuals who were able to join us today to give us that brief. Now I'm going to ask Dr. Flores to join us so that we can do our Q&A. As we prepare for that, I'd like to let everyone know that the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen will allow you the opportunity to ask questions of our Chancellor. Many of the questions that we are receiving, we are also answering live if we have the answer to those. So we will either answer you in text or we'll answer you through the live conversation. Please also note that during the last session, we had lots of questions from individuals that we weren't able to get to, and we had those posted. Those are posted. There's a link within our website on the employee information page where you can get to those. So we want to be sure that you take advantage of that as well, so that we're able to ensure that we get everyone's questions answered. So without further ado, our Chancellor, I'll allow him to say a few words before we get started with the Q&A. Dr. Flores.
All right. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. It's nice to have over 1,000 colleagues. I just want to begin and ask everyone if we can just take a moment of silence. I want us to honor the legacy of a 20-year veteran for the Alamo Colleges, but most importantly, as a public safety officer for the Alamo Colleges Police Department, Sergeant Leonel Martinez. So I'm going to ask each of us just for a brief moment of silence to recognize his service. Thank you. Thank you all very much. I'm excited to be here with you for our second Alamo Together Remote Summit. And I think that each and every one of you have also dedicated your time to Alamo Colleges, and most importantly to our students and community. And so I know there's a lot of questions. I want to thank our trustees for being on the line with us. And I think the wonderful thing with Alamo Colleges is just the alignment from our Board of Trustees, from our chair, our vice chair, who welcomed you this morning, Mr. Joe Alderete. And then I know that his colleagues are also on this morning. So want to thank our strategic leadership team, and then you saw our stakeholder leadership, our district leadership team members that welcomed you this morning as well. You can see that everybody has mobilized to support each other, our colleagues, and also to support our students. And then today we begin with the ultimate kind of rite of passage for our students with the acknowledgement tonight with the virtual celebration by St. Philip's College, Dr. Loston and her team, faculty and staff, acknowledging what's so very important, that our students are able to get that ticket to the middle class with their credential. So I'm ready to go, Christy.
Okay, great. I'm seeing a lot of themes in the questions that have come in over the last couple of days and the ones that are in the chat. I think the most pressing really is just an update on where we are as far as closures and reopening. So there's a lot of questions around, are we going to open for fall? Is there a team or task force working on this? And if so, can we share some about that? And then really around the equipment like PPE or retrofitting buildings. So if you could talk to us a little bit about the plan for reentry.
Yes, of course. I think this is actually, today marks the end of the 7th week of remote teaching, learning, and work. So if we were to think of when we left for spring break, we had actually convened individual stakeholders from all 5 of the colleges and DSO to begin to look at what that would look like for us to move in that direction. And fortunately, we were able, within the span of a couple of weeks, to move 65,000 students and 5,000 of our colleagues to remote. And we were also, through the Keep Teaching team, able to train 2,000 faculty members to continue teaching and end the semester, right? Which ends today with finals coming soon, but end the semester and ensure we could all cross the finish line. We know that summer 1, Maymesters, summer 1 and summer 2 will continue remotely. There will be some classes for some students in workforce programs that were not able to complete the spring that will be in small classes, respecting social distancing and respecting public health protocols, right, that will come to some of the college campuses with faculty for that. We have convened an incident command structure, so there's a group of stakeholders actually composed of IT, public safety, finance, myself, along with currently 2 of the college presidents, and that will rotate as we go through, that will plan for reentry. And we're looking at all different scenarios for that for the fall semester. So we know that there will be some on-campus instruction that will occur in the fall. We want to be intentional in our work to ensure that we continue to do what we've done during this 7-week process, that we respect and support the safety of each one of our colleagues, and also the 65,000 students that will continue to serve in the fall semester. So that group has convened this week. We will also convene that group that actually took us to remote work, and they will begin planning for reentry. And then we are also looking at all the necessary steps with regard to all of the things that we've heard, right? Social distancing, PPE, what's necessary to ensure that students are successful. How do we train new faculty or staff that we're going to bring on board? How do we train the close to 10,000 new students that we would expect to join us to be able to be successful in a remote setting? Because even though some students or some faculty and staff will be on a college campus or regional center in the fall, we know that we also have to be mindful of the numbers that are physically on or in a building. And so we are looking at all of those considerations so that we can be intentional and providing for your safety, providing for the safety of students, and ensuring the safety throughout the community. We'll continue to also be aligned not only with the CDC guidelines, but also the guidance that's been provided by the city and the county metropolitan health as well. So, so rest assured that you'll be receiving in the COVID newsletter. You'll begin to see updates related to that. The best person to go to is your supervisor. So they'll receive information as well. But I think what we've discovered is the regular updates that are received from communications once or twice a week that you'll continue to see that information relayed to you.
Thank you, Dr. Flores. There's still a lot of questions around that are very technical and detailed. So we're going to work to gather that information specifically about PPE, about very specific cases. So we'll put that on our Q&A page. The next thing that I've seen show up a lot in the Q&A today and also in the questions that were sent ahead of time is really around budget. And so we have a lot of individuals who are concerned about budget cuts for their department, what that looks like across the board for the organization, and how we'll continue to function. So can you speak to us really about our financial position and what next year's budget looks like based on COVID-19?
Sure. I think one of the, we're actually very fortunate. We work for an organization that has a strong, not only an organizational performance, but also a strong fiscal foundation. So those of you that have just recently joined within the last year or so, but those of you perhaps who are longtime veterans with the Alamo colleges. I can go through quickly. I just want to give you a sense. The majority, about 40% of our support actually comes from Bexar County taxpayers, right? And then the other 40% comes from student tuition and fees. About 20% comes from the state, directly from Austin, in which they give us state support. What we're doing is we're constantly monitoring those three, what we call revenue streams, right? Those three sources of revenue. And some of that is beginning to take shape. We're getting a little bit of clarification regarding all of those streams. So one is that we're planning for at least a flat or steady student enrollment or a slight increase in student enrollment. So we should be once again at 60,000 plus students. Perhaps we could even be close to 70,000 students this coming fall. So that means that revenue stream of at least 40% of our pie is going to increase or at least hold constant. The other is that we're mindful of Bexar County because that's the other largest slice of our pie at 40%. And property tax appraisals should be going out soon. They were scheduled to go out a few weeks ago. We're planning for a slight increase in property tax protests, of course, and then also perhaps for individuals that won't be able to pay property taxes. We're thinking that also could be flat or it could be a slight increase, but we're constantly monitoring what that looks like. So that could hold constant. The state, however, that, as you know, is a little different scenario. We are fortunate that that's only a fifth or about 20% of our revenue, but we're planning for a reduction next year of about 10% in state support. So we're looking at different scenarios. This scenario has 10%, and then we're looking at another scenario in which perhaps it could be even 15%. So we know that we will have a decrease in state funding of several millions of dollars. So one of the scenarios that we're talking about then, as it all comes to fruition, is that we could have a decrease in our budget of perhaps 2.5% overall. So our budget's about $385 million. And if you were to look at the 2.5% decrease, remember that's just one scenario, but that's with just a decrease in state support. And the other two, property taxes and student tuition, holding constant or perhaps slightly increasing. So we are in a very, very good position with all things considered, with the dynamics in the economy, with the changes in employment or unemployment rates. We are in a sound position. We also have what's called a balance or the district savings account, right? We can look at about 11 million of those dollars that we could pull out of our savings account. We're not proposing to do that next fiscal year simply because we know that the next year, the following year, which is 21-22 academic year, may be a little tighter. So we'd like to hold off before we have any withdrawals from our savings account. So what does this mean to you? This means that we're going to serve the same amount of students or possibly more. This means that all current full-time employees, faculty, and staff will have their jobs now, and we are building the budget that we will continue to support all 3,000 current full-time employees. And we expect perhaps that we will actually have an increased need for adjunct faculty next year and even the following year, because we expect that we'll have an increased amount of students. And so those are the things that we know right now. We're also looking at what are some of the other things that we can do to be more efficient. What are things that we can do to continue to support each one of you? Linda Boyer-Owens mentioned the vacation sellback, mentioned the employee emergency aid fund that's being developed in consultation and in partnership with faculty and staff leadership. So we want to ensure that we do right by you. I want to thank you for that question. I know that's a popular question because we want to continue to message that out. We expect that we'll be able to provide that. We're going to talk with the board in May, and then we'll have a budget retreat once again with the board in July, and we'll take forward a budget and ask for their approval at that time. Dynamics may change a little bit. We're looking at different scenarios, as I mentioned. The thing that we know for sure is that state support is going to decrease. We're fortunate that that's only 1/5 of our pie going forward. So thank you all very much.
Dr. Flores, you've laid out a lot of the information about full-time employees, and you've made some predictions for the future related to having more adjuncts, the need for more adjuncts. But I'm seeing some questions from a couple of our part-time staff and adjuncts around what resources are available for them now. So they have been impacted by COVID. We know that there's some benefits in place that Linda went over for full-time employees, but what can those individuals do? Can you talk to us about the employee fund or other opportunities for part-time employees and adjuncts?
Sure, I think that's an important question, and one that definitely we need to also look and consider. The president's working with the vice chancellors and us working with the Unified Faculty Senate and the Executive Staff Senate as well, so we can look at additional supports that we can provide to part-time staff and to adjuncts. We would want, and we know that we provided for emergency leave regarded to civic pay this past year, and then we should also look at what benefits we can provide going forward. We did, when we started 7 weeks ago, did provide for a guarantee for part-time staff all the way through the end of May. And we know that there will be a need for sectioning for part-time adjuncts going forward. I think the other part is we wanted to ensure that we would have consistent enrollment and perhaps increased enrollment in the summer. And that's why we also launched the Keep Learning Plan. It's a benefit for students because it provides for up to 3 classes for full-time students, up to 2 classes at no charge for part-time students. And it also ensures that there's a need for us with those students enrolling, that there's a need for increased sectioning for adjuncts, and there's also a need for part-time staff at all of the colleges working remotely in this fashion. So we'll take that back for additional consideration and additional support that we should provide to our part-time colleagues.
Dr. Flores, switching gears a little bit, touching for both on our own employees, but also for the community and our students. What is it going to look like for Alamo colleges in relation to workforce training? We know that the unemployment rate is just overwhelming to think about.
Yes.
We have lots of people who are graduating. We have our own employees who maybe want to be upskilled. Maybe they're a part-time worker and they would like to be able to apply for a full-time position. So what is that going to look like? How are we going to provide that? And have we made any plans, or are there discussions around how will be of benefit to the community to ensure that we have a skilled workforce and we're able to tackle unemployment in San Antonio?
Sure. I think one of the things many of you may have, I think week by week, all of you have seen just the claims, or you've actually experienced it in your household or with a family member, a friend, or a neighbor who unfortunately through this situation has been furloughed or is now unemployed permanently. We know this morning that the national unemployment rate is 14.7%. That's more than the recession about a decade ago, and that in fact is that's the highest since the Great Depression, which was actually at about 25%. And we already know that San Antonio as a community is very strong, but was already challenged with a widening gap between those that have resources and unfortunately those that did not, and that opportunity was not equally shared. We've been in conversations with both the city and the county. Some of you may have seen an op-ed that was submitted by COPS, Metro Alliance, Citizens Organized for Public Service, and Metro Alliance, which is a faith-based grassroots organization in which they're asking both the city and the county for leadership for a San Antonio GI Bill, in a sense, to provide workforce training for those individuals, our neighbors, family members, or friends that are no longer working, and to provide short-term through long-term job assistance, and actually for that to be done through the Alamo Colleges District. The county yesterday unveiled a plan. They're receiving close to $79 million in CARES funds, and they're saying that half of those funds, that over $30 million they're proposing, this is just a draft and a proposal, that over $30 million should go to individuals for short to long-term job training, and that should be delivered by Alamo Colleges District. There's a similar conversation, and COPS also presented that to the city, to the mayor and city council members. And so that's something else to consider. So we're in initial conversations with the mayor and with city leadership as part of that. So the intent is, as you all know, we're a big place, and we serve close to the 70,000 students, and then another 15 to 20,000 in workforce development. So if there are solutions to challenges that we confront in this community, what we're seeing is that community leaders, public and private sector leaders, turn to the Alamo Colleges District for those solutions to help achieve and address those challenges. And so that means that we could see 5,000 to 10,000 more individuals come to us within the next 2 months for training, on top of those students that are currently registering for the fall semester. So I'm affirmed by the stories that I hear of current students, faculty, and staff, and everything that you've done to back up each other and ensure our students are successful. I'm further affirmed that folks in the community say there is a challenge, we need to be able to solve it, and we're going to turn to the folks at the Alamo Colleges to be able to address it.
So you're affirming that we can expect really an increase in our workload, an increase in the number of students enrolled, whether workforce programs or within our academic areas. I'm seeing a lot of words that are really concerning to me in the Q&A about furloughs and about layoffs, asking if we're going to have faculty layoffs and if administrators are going to be cut as well. And so it sounds to me like we're needing our workforce. Can you speak on that?
Well, So we sent out actually, let me begin with this. We're building a budget that has no furloughs, that has no layoffs for full-time employees, for full-time faculty, full-time staff. The budget assumption is that we will continue to support all full-time faculty and staff, and that we will go forward. And in fact, you'll see on Alamo Talent and on the Jobs board online that we are going to go forward with hiring also essential positions, hiring additional faculty, hiring additional academic advisors, hiring enrollment coaches, ensuring that we have folks at the advocacy centers to provide wraparound support to our students. So the budget that we are currently developing, the budget that we will take forward, is based upon scenarios like a 2.5% budget reduction that continues to support all 3,000 plus full-time benefited faculty and staff, and is also built upon ensuring that we will have a need for adjunct faculty and for part-time staff. So I do want to assure you that that's how we're building the budget, and that's how we're going to take it forward. We do not have any plans to furlough anybody. We have no plans to do that. Over the next few weeks, if there's a place to work during an economic downturn, it is in higher ed at a community college. If there's a place to work during an economic downturn with an organization that is fiscally sound, it's the Alamo Colleges District. So I do want to assure you, and this comes all the way from the board and with the strategic leadership team, that we are building a budget based upon supporting all of our full-time staff next year and carrying everybody forward the following year. That's why the budget is built just on one scenario, a 2.5% budget reduction, which is slight. And that's why we don't want to use the district savings account next year, because we know the following year may be just a little bit more challenging, and we want to use that to close that gap in year 2 of what we expect may be a multi-year recession, right? So just rest assured from all of those questions, Christy, that were posed and asked, that the budget is built on supporting all of our colleagues right now and continuing to move them forward, and in fact making strategic hires throughout the organization so we can support faculty and staff. And so I just want to say that I'm just affirmed by everything that's going on. If when we all left for spring break, if we could have imagined then coming back 2 weeks later and being able to engage right in this way, I think all of us would have been taken aback. But now 7 weeks in, I think we're able to see that we were successful, and we were able to do it because of the support and fortitude from everybody here and from our colleagues that are on another screen supporting students or teaching students or having other meetings, right? So I want you all to just be assured and be affirmed that our budget is based upon supporting everybody within the organization because they support our students. And that's why we're here. We're here for student success and performance excellence. And we're a sound organization that really cares about who we are, what we do, and how we support our community. So I just want to thank each and every one of you.
Okay, so is there anything else that you'd like to share with us? We have 1,012 people on, and you have this wonderful opportunity to speak to us all together. Is there any other message that you'd like to affirm?
You know, I just want to say that, you know, I just have always felt each and every year of close to 20 years with the Alamo Colleges District that I work for and work with. I work for a great organization, and I work with great colleagues who each and every day, I would say, drive to campus or take the bus to campus, right? But each and every day log on to do the best, to do right by each other and to do right by our students. And I would just ask that we all continue to do that, that you continue to have faith in your colleagues, continue to have faith in the organization, and that we cut a little slack with each other, right? And give each other a little bit of grace because these are challenging times. And I know that this is just one of multiple things that you're doing at home. That you're trying, many folks are also trying to, our teachers themselves at home and working with their kids, working with family members, checking in on your parents and checking in on others. And so just continue to do what you do, continue to support each other. And we want to be able to ensure that we do in this period what we've always done, is that we back you up. And so I want to encourage you to have a great Friday. I want to encourage you to have a great Mother's Day weekend. And I just want to continue to support each and every one of you and to honor you for your service, just as we honor each and every one of our colleagues.
Thank you, Dr. Flores, and thank you all for your questions, for the chat. I know we didn't get to everyone's question. There's some questions about retirement. There's questions about school districts, questions about how we're going to retrofit our buildings. All of those answers will be available on our website. In fact, some of those questions have already been answered from the last session. So if you log on to alamo.edu/coronavirus, click on the employee section, there's a link there to that, and we'll begin to update those with the new questions that have come in. Thank you all for joining us. Again, thank you, Dr. Flores, Dr. Garcia, Linda. Thank you to our board and to Dale Sampson, our student. And then, of course, to all of our employees who are joining us today. We'll see you next month.
Bye-bye.